There was a lie made by Respawn and EA recently that very few people have caught on. Ash, let's play a little game here.
Oh, okay.
All right. I'm going to be EA, you're going to be Respawn. Now, Respawn came out and said, hey guys, when we made this Apex Legends game, we totally told EA to just screw off and not meddle with us because we're making our own game.
Yeah,
let's go
stuff
through
it,
a quick
EA.
checklist.
We're going to make our own game, and
all right,
you can't tell us what to do.
Hey, Respawn, we don't want you to add in a big single player, actually any single player at all. We want this to be a live service game. You got that?
Okay, but it's going to be my idea.
Okay, cool. All right, second thing. We want there to be microtransactions, not just general microtransactions. We want like a subscription style microtransaction that's reoccurring, as well as loot boxes. Okay? What do you think? What do you think about that?
I don't know. People aren't gonna like that. Maybe we shouldn't.
But I really need this added in here.
Well,
right?
I tried. Okay, but I'm gonna tell them I push back.
Okay, you're gonna tell me push back, and it was your idea, right? I didn't have anything to do with this.
Oh, this is my idea.
Even though we said that this was how it was gonna be like a couple of weeks ago.
Well, of course.
So, all right.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, I mean, because you're right. Because of course we would decide that these things that all the players hate is what's actually best for the game. I mean, of course, that's my idea. What was I thinking?
Okay. Now, second thing that I want for all games going forward, I want as little maps as possible in the game. So, can you make a game that just has a single map, and that's it?
Okay, we could trash the other 5 we worked on, I guess. Sure.
Okay, cool. And that's your idea, right? I didn't push you into this at all, right?
Whatever you say, boss.
Okay, cool. All right. Funny but relatable characters, basically just ripping off of Overwatch. You got that in there too? Because Overwatch, another game that really highly microtransactioned and has no vitality to the lore or the story, that's cool, right?
All right. Yeah, if I go back to the office and I fire 3 of our creative directors, I'm sure we could bring it down to that point. Sure, you got it.
Okay, cool. And then lastly, lore. We don't need any game that has any like expansive lore or theory-tested worlds or anything like that, because that's this single-player garbage stuff that we want to just get rid of. People don't want that. They just want us to shovel crap into their mouth. You got that, right? That's totally your idea too, right?
I didn't like those guys that are writing for us anyway, so sure.
Yeah, okay. All right. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is the lie. The lie is that Respawn came out and said, oh, EA had nothing to do with this Apex Legends, even though everything that you have in Apex Legends is exactly what EA wanted and have been saying for the last 4 years that the gamers deserve. High microtransactions, no lore, no story, single map, just basic characters that are cute and somewhat relatable, but don't actually have any existence past that. This is the game that Respawn said that EA had nothing to do with. In fact, they even told them, hey, you gotta leave us alone, and hey, we're gonna make the game that we want to make. So, now, this Yum Lemming, this was not rehearsed at all. This is just me bragging on this for a couple of weeks, especially to Ash off air, because this has been something that if I had come out and said this early on, and I did actually come out and say this fairly early on, that I put 2 and 2 together, spoke with some analysts, and basically got a confirmation that, yes, this is what went down. Basically, EA and Respawn got together and said, how can we make this game sell? Because if we try to advertise this beforehand, this is not going to go over well. We're going to get crucified in the press. And they said, okay, well, just 2 things. We'll not advertise it. We're just going to put it out there. And secondly, just tell them that we had nothing to do with it.
Everything was Respawn's idea.
Everything was Respawn's idea. No, EA didn't have a hand in making a perfect product to what they wanted you to play and shovel money into their mouth. So, this brings us to the next Star Wars game and what Respawn's working on now. So, here's the interesting factoid. Is that the studio and the people and the players were fed this lie. Now this lie comes back to bite EA in the butt. Because now EA is trying to move in and tell Respawn what to do with the next Star Wars game, and as I'm being told, Respawn keeps saying, but it worked really good the last time when you had no hands in the development of this. Remember when that happened? Well, let's just try and carry that forward, shall we? It's like
I see.
EA is like, hey, you know, we're going to motivate the public by telling the public that we had next to nothing to do with this. And then Respawn, after a little while, goes, you know what? We actually really like this idea of you not having very much to do with our creative direction. I know it was kind of a lie when we started this, but now I'm actually convinced that the lie is the better of the realities. EA is now kind of being told, hey, hands off. We're going to work on this, and we're going to work on this the way that we want to.
That's really funny.
Even though the first time they used this, it was a lie. But now it's becoming more and more true. So, this is a good sign for the game in general. In general, this is a really great sign because it means that that gamers and game developers are actually working on a product that they want to work on. Are they still limited in scope, and are they still being time crunched to get it out by a certain date? Yes and yes. They're still... EA is still behind them with a whip. However, they've been able to like put some distance on them. Potentially this is really, really good. So we'll be able to see a better product because of this. Even though the whole Apex thing was a lie, and it just drives me mental every time I hear YouTubers talk about, oh, you know, they said this, this, and this. It doesn't take that many sources in the industry to realize it doesn't take any sources in the industry to put 2 and 2 together. When EA said, oh, we're making a game, but we had no hand in it, but hey, it's everything that we ever wanted in a game, and Respawn sitting there going, yeah, that's what happened. Put 2 and 2 together. EA lies. They've been doing it for a really long time. They lied to developers, they lied to fans, and they lied to their stockholders. They are one of the worst companies. They've won the worst company award year after year because they are. So just bear that in mind, and then going forward, if we want to save Mass Effect, if we want to save Dragon Age, if we want to save all these things, if EA goes under, a lot of that stuff is just going to get lost. A lot of that stuff is going to end up in big vaults. It's like the EverQuest series. The EverQuest IP, the EverQuest concept, is in a vault, in a Russian vault, buried under so much red tape that we will never, ever, ever, ever see a good EverQuest game probably in the next 20 years. It's probably gone forever. Do we want that to happen with EA? No. If EA goes under, how likely is that to happen to Dragon Age, Mass Effect, Titanfall? What's going to happen to all these companies, all of these IPs, all these genres that were created brilliantly by many, many really good core game developers years and years ago that just made the mistake of buying out to EA? Most of them will end up in a vault and will never see the light of day again. If we want Mass Effect to come back, if we want that universe to come back, if we actually want to see an actual game that carries on in the same universe, in the same feeling, with the same, you know, abilities, the same stuff, if we ever want that back, we have to force EA to fix itself. Trust me, I'm like really close to not caring about trying to fix them. But if we want them to get fixed, then what Respawn is doing right now is actually a really good thing. What BioWare is trying to do right now with moving into working on the next Dragon Age game, moving away from what EA is telling them to do and trying to add in some new stuff. If they can do that, which is not going on right now, they're being told, hey, do this. If you can somehow manage to get them to realize that they'll make more money if they just become more hands-off, if they just say, okay, just make good games. If we can get EA to just do that, then we will see the return of a lot of these games sooner or later in a really good space. Because it's only the money guys who screw this stuff up. The creators sometimes get screwed up when it comes to like release times, and they'll work on a project forever and they'll get into development hell. That's always a possibility. But for the most people in this industry, if you tell them to make a good game that they're passionate about, they're going to make a good game that they're passionate about.
Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to like, sub, and hit that notification bell, and then check out some of these other videos. Find the link to our Discord server and other important stuff in the description below.